right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Bull Stevens Trucking. It's the 100th video of Bull Stevens Trucking, and we are in Little Rock, Arkansas at the Flying J truck stop. We got the Ruta W900 with the Ruta hopper bottom. We got a special guest joining us here today. It's Leeroy Mercer from right here in Little Rock, Arkansas, born and raised. Introduce yourself there, Mr. Leeroy Mercer.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Leeroy.
Me and this guy, we go all the way back. We go back, oh gosh, what is it? 20-some years now? NASCAR 2003 we met?
Yeah, absolutely. It was right around 2003, early 2004.
Yeah. And we became racing teammates on a team called Bomb Squad Racing. BSR was our tag name. And yeah, we've been friends ever since. Never met, but we're meeting virtually here in the game in American Truck Simulator. So we're gonna shoot the shit as we drive here.
Hey, let me run in here and get a pack of cigarettes.
All right, we got some on the dasher for you.
Sorry, I wasn't ready. Hey, hang on. Let me check my coffee here real quick.
Oh, yeah.
I'm good. We can
good?
roll. Yep.
All right. There he is here. He's got his cup of coffee. He's got his smokes in the dash. Hang on, I don't think we picked our load yet. I thought we did.
I thought you got soybeans going to Jonesboro. You do. There it is.
Oh, catch your gear there.
You sure you can drive this thing?
Oh, just got my license out of the Cracker Jack box.
I've driven one a time or two. I haven't driven one in a while. I've been racing too much.
Yep, we just finished, we did what, 2 races there tonight?
Yeah, 2 races at Talladega in the 87s.
87s, and I had a good race. I finished 5th in my race.
I had 2 good races. I scored points in both of them.
Yeah, so we're
really
now
having trouble.
So now we're off to get some corn at Smithfield. I didn't. Oh, there we go. I'm gonna have to use my my phone GPS. Leeroy Mercer here, he's born and raised here in Little Rock. He's from Arkansas.
Yes, I am. Where are we? We're on the map here. I'm trying to figure out, we going into Little Rock right now?
I believe so. My little mappy thing's not really working there.
I'll be able to see on that sign right there.
Oh, hang on. I got my low.
You drive just like a real truck driver. This is pretty accurate. Enemies up on that wheel now.
I'll get rid of that stupid map. I'm looking at the bigger map above the overlay one.
Yeah. I'm not mad at that little phone thing on there. I usually have to have something in the truck to show me the map while you know what I mean? Because I'll pop back in the cab real quick and look at the map and then go back outside. I drive a lot outside.
Yeah. Hang on, I gotta get rid of that fucking chat message here at the bottom. I don't know what the fuck's that is.
The chat is currently not available. Skyline Drive, so we're headed out of Conway. Conway's the next ride. We're headed out of Conway, headed to Little Rock, aren't we?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, now that truck stop we just came out of, that's pretty accurate because there's a pretty nice truck stop in Ozark. There's also one in Morrilton just out. That's actually probably the one in Morrilton right outside of just north of Conway. That is extremely accurate over there. This Conway section is extremely the rise, the height of the road, everything, the way the road's built up.
Right.
The first time I came around it, it was pretty cool to see that. And Little Rock is very accurate. I mean, it's very, very accurate.
I think SCS really did the homework on this one.
They really did. Because it's extremely recognizable and everything. Is that police station right there? That's a brand new. It hasn't been there but a couple of years. And I was talking to the chief of police one time, and he says that building has a rubber roof on it.
Right.
And right down the street over here on the right is an area called Dark Hollow, and it goes into downtown North Little Rock. And there are so many gunshots shot up in the air. The police chief told me that roof on that police station, it's called the Justice Center. It's got a rubber roof on it. He said there are hundreds of holes from bullets just falling out of the sky and puncturing it.
No way.
Yeah. I think I know where we're going to, because this is Broadway in North Little Rock, so you know where we're going, right?
Well, I'm just following the map.
All right, so we're going to the Riverport, aren't we?
It could very well be.
Can't really tell by that little map, but I'll know. That McDonald's right there?
Yep.
Absolutely, there's a McDonald's right there.
I'll get out. Is this Subway across the street?
There's
BK.
I don't think it's a Subway. It used to be something else. I think it used to be a Kentucky Fried Chicken, and it changed into a little local. This side of the river is it's changed a little bit from being as commercial as it used to be, or with big brand names. Because this is really not a good section of town. That where we turned left back there, that Exxon station gets robbed 7-8 times a week.
No.
And it is in downtown North Little Rock. I mean, it is. You can't get it. It's the center of town. Yeah, we're not going to the Riverport. So the Riverport's over here to the right, and the Riverport is actually, and they did a fantastic job on that, because the Riverport over there is Bruce Oakley's.
Oh, okay.
And it looks just like Bruce Oakley when you pull up over there. And Bruce Oakley actually has a barge line. They ship their grain and fertilizer and everything on the river. They ship stuff in on the river in big barges. And there is an industrial area back over in here. Looks about
Oh
like
no,
this.
we don't go in here. It's over here, isn't
I believe so.
it? Yeah. So when we get this load, hopefully it's dynamic loading in here. Leroy is going to tell us about a foundation that he's very much a part of. It is Trucker's Final Mile.
Truckersfinalmile.org. It's an interesting story how I got involved with that.
Yes.
So I'm streaming American Truck Simulator, and a guy that used to watch a lot and in the chat a lot and everything like that, a guy named Eddie D. We we were in there, and I think the Raya stream had just got done doing a fundraising stream for a veteran, some kind of veterans organization or something like that. So Eddie D came in the chat and he said, "You know, I'm a veteran myself, and I really appreciate when those guys do those streams and those raise funds for veterans." He said, "But he said, and especially charities." And he said, but I don't know why more people in the ATS side of things don't do a stream for trucking charities."
Right.
And I said, "Trucking charities?" I said, what, tell me what you're talking about, because I don't understand why trucking needs a charity. And he told me about Trucker's Final Mile. He told me that in a lot of cases, these trucking companies out here will hire a driver. They will go as far as paying to get them on a bus or an airplane to the truck. They will assign them a truck, put them in it, and those people can drive hundreds, most times thousands of miles away from their home. And if something happens and they pass away, the trucking company does absolutely nothing to get that driver back home to
Right.
where to his home. And Robert Palm, the founder of Truckers Final Mile, always says there is no rule, there is no law, there is no mandate, there is no obligation for a trucking company anywhere in the United States to get that driver back home. Now, many great trucking companies do the right thing. They do. I've talked to some of the top people and some of the ones that do the right thing. But some of these people, they will call the family,
Yep.
say, sorry to inform you, you need to make arrangements to get your loved one home. On an average, that can be a $2,500 to $5,000 bill on top of that. That's just to get their loved one home. We ain't talking about funeral yet. We ain't talking about none of that stuff. Now, the lower end of the scale is for people who choose cremation, and then we can ship to the United States Postal Service to get the loved one home after they've been cremated.
Right.
And even then, the charity's tagline, as I call it, is respect and dignity for the North American trucker. And what that means is Robert does not want a truck driver being thrown in the back of a truck or people still do that today, and that's the way they used to do it. They would send another truck, refrigerated one, pick the person up and bring them back home, and they still do that today, and people make all kinds of crazy arrangements to get their loved one home. But the charity uses every time 2 funeral homes. The funeral home where the decedent is, and the receiving funeral home at his home. And a lot of people say, well, or a lot of people might say, well, why would you send someone's ashes to a funeral home instead of just sending it to the family?
Right.
And Robert always said, and this is how thorough he thought this through. He said he did not want a truck driver's ashes sitting out on the porch that the mailman left. And he really did not want some young truck driver's grandmother trying to pour his ashes into an urn on the kitchen table and spill them. So even the ashes are sent to a funeral home, and people who are professionals in that area take care of those from step A all the way to the finish. It is all handled by professionals in the funeral industry. And all of this is done by just regular people out of the goodness of their heart that donate to that charity. This charity, in the last 12 years, has brought home 687 truck drivers back home to their family from every state except Alaska. We've brought home. That church over there is 100% in the absolute correct place. It is to a T. It's unbelievable how good they did that.
That's crazy.
This charity has brought home 687 truck drivers back home to their family who needed that help and called and asked for that help. 158 of those were veterans. They served this country twice, once in the armed forces and then once in trucking.
I always find that a lot of ex-military, ex-veterans always get into trucking.
They have programs where trucking companies get tax cuts, truck driver training places. They have these veterans to truck programs and stuff like that. And here's what I will tell you. Probably many of the 158 veterans that got into trucking went through one of those programs.
Yep.
Their trucking career ended with them deceased in a truck stop parking lot somewhere, and their next of kin, most of the time it's a wife or even a daughter or son, has to call the charity and request help getting their loved one home.
So
I have always asked, how does this happen in this country? That's what I asked when they told me about it. I was like, how does that happen in the United States of America? We're better than that. Back in the 80s, when they deregulated trucking, everybody wanted trucking to be deregulated. Well, deregulation means that you're not regulated, and one of the things they no longer regulate is that, and the workers. I'm trying to think of the name of it. There's a specific government section that deals with workers' rights. I can't remember the name of it, but they deregulated and took that part out of it too. Not workman's comp, but I'll think of it here in a little bit, but they took that part out of it too. So when they deregulated all of that, that's why there's no mandates, no laws, no nothing that even addresses an employer getting their employee home. And to my knowledge, and I've asked many times, I can't find another industry or business or anything in this country that does that. Trucking is the only business that I know of that will send someone thousands of miles away from their home and then do nothing to get them back home.
yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. Like obviously it doesn't sound like they value their employees as much as they should.
When people say in trucking, you're just a number, they could not be more correct about that. You're actually less than the number.
I think any big corporation now is just like that now.
Now, look, there are some great organizations out there, and I'll tell you, I talked to the guy in charge of when something like this happens to a driver for the trucking company Knight Transportation. That's one of the, I think Knight Swift is the 4th or 5th largest trucking company in this country. Now, I don't know exactly what they do at Swift. You hear people joke about Swift all the time.
Yeah, how their drivers are shit. Always wrecking their trucks.
Yeah, and it does happen. It does happen. But you know, you got to base everything on a percentage of how many. They've got thousands of trucks, and so Night Transportation does also. And I talked to the man from Night Transportation who's in charge of all of it, and they take care of everything. If you're a driver for Night Transportation and something happens to you out there, you do not have to worry about your wife calling a damn charity and having to rely on the goodness of other people to donate to it to get your loved one home. They will take care of it. I have seen them do it myself. I am a witness to the fine job that those folks do at Night Transportation. So, anytime you see somebody bad-mouthing those big trucking companies like that right there, and JB Hunt's another one. I've talked to those people on several different occasions, and JB Hunt actually sends representatives from the company to the loved one's home to be there when they receive their loved one, and there will be a representative at the funeral from JB Hunt, and their family will be taken care of. That's Arkansas State Trooper right there. That's your worst nightmare. And I'm not kidding. I used to tell people, my mother and dad did not require me to say yes sir and no sir, and I never did. I never said yes sir to my dad, but I said yes sir to the Arkansas State Trooper. And I've had several dealings with him, I promise you. But yeah, so when I heard that beer run, I'm like, that's just the craziest thing I've ever heard. I've got to look into this. I got to figure out why. I want to know why. And I thought the platform that we had streaming the trucks, and we had a pretty good following and people, and I thought we could actually inform people and let them know about this, and try to encourage people and raise money to help these families, because many times these families are working families. They don't have $30, $40, $50,000 in their bank, and we have literally seen people become homeless because of the bills that pile up. And the main reason is a lot of times these families have just lost their primary income from the man or woman that's out there working, driving the truck. And many times the spouse works also, but now it's a one income family, and you've accrued $3,000-4,000. Then you add in a funeral. You can't get a funeral, and you can't get a funeral for less than $8,000.
Oh,
So
God.
that's $10,000 in debt already.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because some people don't want their loved one cremated, and I can completely understand that. I don't know that I want to be cremated, but it comes down to a cost for them. And many times when they call the charity, we give them the choice. And when I say we, I'll tell you why I say we here in a little bit. So we give them the choice, and if they want a full body casket, that's exactly what they get. And those are shipped on airplanes.
Oh, okay.
Now, something interesting, when COVID was on fire, to put a deceased person in an airplane and fly them home required a tray, a special tray that they set the casket on. And I hate to be graphic, but there's no other way around it, to keep from any kind of fluids or anything leaking into the airplane.
Yeah.
Many times when you send a deceased truck driver home on an airplane, the funeral home has to take the truck driver's remains to an airport, but you can't just take it to any airport. You have to take it to a major airport that has, it's a requirement by law, that airport has to have a refrigeration room where the remains can be refrigerated until they put it on the plane.
Yeah, I get you.
And most people don't know any of that. They don't think about any of that. There's a lot of steps, forms, paperwork, and people say all the time, well, I'll just go get my loved one. In some instances, you can't. You literally can't because of the laws. Now, you might could outlaw somebody home, and I'm sure some people have. But dealing with human remains is that's a special skill.
Oh,
It really is. And so here's how I got involved in it. I wanted to know how this happens and why this happens, and this needs to end. There shouldn't be people donating to a charity for this. This trucking is a $985 billion a year industry. Do you hear what I just said?
yep.
Okay. So I thought that this is just lunacy. And so I called the phone number and talked to the founder and the founder of Truckers Final Mile, Robert Palm. And I asked him a lot of questions. And I told him that I wanted to try to use the platform of American Truck Simulator and streaming to try to help. And we had talked a couple of times after that, and I had called him to ask him something, and he said he was in Morrilton. And I said, really? And I said, man, I'd sure like to shake your hand, but I don't want you to have to pull off the highway. I'm sure you're busy. And he said, Leeroy, I'm an owner operator. I can do whatever I want. And I said, okay. And so I told him an exit to pull off of just a little east of, just a little west of Little Rock. And he come pulling up that exit, and I was standing on the side of the road waiting on him and shook his hand and took some pictures of the truck. And he and I became, I mean, Robert's as close a friend as I have. I don't go, I don't go weeks at a time without talking to Robert. I usually talk to Robert a minimum of once, twice a week, and a lot of times if we've got something going on, I may talk to him 20 times a week
Right.
because and so our friendship and me working to try to help led to Robert offering me a position on the board of directors for Truckers Final Mile, a 501c3 charity, and I am the director of communications. So we my friends on the ATS side and the followers of the American Truck Syndicate on Facebook, we work together to raise money, and a sponsorship for the charity. Any company can be a sponsor, and it's $2,500. It's a one-time donation. If you donate $2,500, you become a sponsor of Truckers Final Mile, and whether you donate ever again or not, it doesn't matter. You're still a sponsor. But And I believe it was, let's see, between 2022 and 2023, the American Truck Syndicate, along with all of our friends and followers and a lot of people, Robert and I estimated that we raised over $50,000 for that charity.
Wow. Now, Truckers Found Them Out. It obviously is non-profit.
Absolutely, and it's a 100% real nonprofit. No one gets paid any salary. No one makes any money. It is a 100% volunteer. And I've estimated it, and I've been doing this for almost 5 years. And I probably work, I call it work, but I probably volunteer. When things were really rolling, I volunteered 30 hours a week to help. Trying to raise money, talking to people, calling people, trying to get sponsors, posting the post that Robert makes when he always gets he requests the family to send any picture that they like, and he puts it on the Facebook page and uses that as a way to help let people know that this individual has passed away and needs a ride home. And I'll tell you, it's been a, a eye-opening experience. And what I learned about trucking is unbelievable. You know, Beer, I'm like you. I loved trucks when I was a kid.
Yep, me too.
People always used to ask me, "Man, you love trucks so much. Why weren't you a truck driver?" I'm like, I'm not doing that. I said, look, for some people, getting in a truck and driving all the way across the country is perfect for them. But I have, you know what I mean? I'm not doing any of that. I'm not taking a shower in a truck stop parking lot.
Yeah.
I mean, in a truck stop shower or bathroom. And it's just not my thing. I love trucks, but that don't mean I won't do it for a living. And I have nothing but the utmost respect for the people who do it. But trucking is,
It's a hard
I
life.
and you know, it's not a good deal for anyone.
No.
It really isn't, because there's a lot of time of your life that you're going to spend that you're not going to be compensated for, and you're going to be away from your family. You're going to be away from you're going to be somewhere you don't know anybody. There's a lot of loneliness in trucking. You know what I mean? And it's it's not something that's for everyone. And a lot of people have families, and they have to drive away from their families and stay gone weeks or
For,
months at a time.
yeah, oh yeah.
And the biggest regret that I have seen hundreds of truck drivers say is that the times they missed away from their family and friends.
Yeah, you miss birthdays, Christmas, anniversaries.
It reminds me of, and nothing defines that more than the John Anderson song. Uh, what is that John Anderson song? I can't remember the name of it. My Alzheimer's is kicking in. Where he talks about being between Memphis and Little Rock.
Oh boy.
You know what John Anderson trucking song I'm talking about? You should know automatically.
I know.
Why can't we think of it?
Man, all I'm thinking is Seminole Wind and fucking Swinging.
Wish I would have been there.
Okay.
Wish I would have been there by John Anderson. You know that song, right?
I don't think so.
What?
I like John Anderson. I just don't think I've heard that song.
Yeah, you're fixing to. So it's probably there's not a song that defines that any better than that song right there. I mean, it really, that's what it's about. Because he was a truck driver and he was gone all the time. But so that's the story of how I got involved in it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this: the trucking industry itself does not support Truckers Final Mile the way it does other charities in trucking, like St. Christopher's. And I'll tell you why. A lot of trucking companies and truck stop companies and all the companies, chrome shops, and all of that stuff related to trucking who feed their families from truckers purchasing their products. Reason they don't support Truckers Final Mile is number one, that's trucking shame. They try to keep that hidden, and they do not want people talking about that. And I come up with a phrase a long time ago, and I said, "Dead truckers don't buy chicken lights." And Robert said when I told him, he said, "But they did." And it's one of those things where you can't sell chicken lights to a truck driver who's passed away, and a lot of them at that point don't care. These people with these trucking magazines, that I can guarantee you there's probably a large percentage of truck drivers who passed away in the bunk of a big truck with one of these trucking magazines. And guess what?
What?
They don't do anything either. They don't support this charity. Trucking companies, they can't, you know what I mean? Nobody in the trucking industry wants to touch this charity because all the people have died. Now, at St. Christopher's, they help a lot of people. I've actually sent people there and told them, come back and let me know if they helped you. And they have come back and told me, yes, they have helped me. But all of those people are still alive. They've just been injured, or they've lost their job, or they've had something happen to where they need help. And St. Christopher's will offer a maximum of $2,500 one time. I've seen them give different, just depending on what the need is. But they do what they say they're going to do. Their people, their volunteers are paid. All of those positions are paid. Those people, it's just like a job for them.
Right.
And I think it needs to be the only people that can take care of it from this point is the government. And it needs to be taken care of. But problem with that is, you know, a lot of these, all right, so trucking associations, you know what a trucking association is, right?
Tell me.
Trucking associations are for trucking companies. The trucking companies get together and they join the trucking association. And they donate thousands upon thousands of dollars. And that money goes to politicians' elections, their election fundraising. And you can call it anything you want to, but the greasy, what is the greasy wheel? The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah.
And they work for the trucking companies to influence trucking politicians. And that way these big trucking companies can get the laws they want passed or not passed. This church over here on the right, it started as a big church. The one on the right?
Yeah.
And then they built a bigger church. Or actually the one in the middle, and they added onto it, and then they built a bigger church right next to it. It's a Pentecostal church.
Pentecost.
Yep. And so that's the story. The charity has struggled for the last couple of years because of the economy. During the Biden years, it was an absolute struggle because the economy was terrible. Nobody wanted to donate. There are a couple of people I would like to mention. Pilot Flying J is the only truck stop, and for the last 6 years, is the only truck stop in America to support Truckers Final Mile, and they have for the past 6 years. The only one. Loves. You know the Loves truck
Yeah.
stop. 28 times the forums have been filled out to request a donation from the Loves Truck Stop Corporation, and 28 times it has been denied.
Wow.
And probably 1 in 12 of the 687 truck drivers passed away in a Love's parking lot.
That's crazy.
By average, if you average it out based on the amount of money that Pilot Flying J, now they don't donate a huge, it's not like they donate $100,000 or anything. I think they did once in the beginning. But I will tell you this, on average of the truck drivers that pass away, on average, the amount of money they give, they pay for the truck drivers who pass away in their parking lot.
Like I just can't believe like a corporation like Love's won't, you know,
Nope. Because beer, here's the way you gotta look at it. Those people aren't buying any gas or roller dogs from Love's.
like roller dogs.
They're and so and like I said, that is something that the trucking industry and everybody involved with it does not want anyone to openly discuss that, because they save thousands and thousands and add thousands and thousands of dollars to their bottom line by letting someone else handle it. In almost every instance, there will be someone come and get the truck and the load and have it delivered before the driver that passed away in that truck gets home. That's just a fact. I've seen it too many times.
Yeah, I can believe that.
If anybody wants to question me on my amount of involvement with this charity, I can tell you this. I have personally seen the names, the faces, the names of the family, where they passed away, where they were going home to, and who they drove for over 400 truck drivers. Personally. And I posted every one of them on the American Truck Syndicate page. If Robert posted it, I posted it. And that's just part of the bringing the awareness and hoping that people will. And look, there's a lot of people, I'll tell you about the charity business. It's kind of messed up, because you know, the people that have the money that they could just throw away and it wouldn't even matter to them are not the ones who support this charity. It is kind-hearted people like a retired school teacher living on a fixed income that donates $5 a month. That's what's got these people home. It is. But it is also like a truck driver whose dad was a truck driver, who is a trucker. He's not a truck driver. He's a trucker. And there's been several of them, real truckers, that have donated in the neighborhood of $5,000.
Right.
I know one. I've seen him. I know he's donated over $5,000 on my stream live. And it's just good, kind-hearted people that make that happen, and we love every one of them. We couldn't do what we could without them. Robert is 67 years old. He before he retired from trucking, he did people would call him on the phone, and he would be driving a truck. This charity does not have an office or, you know, a building or any of that stuff. This charity's office was Robert's truck. And when a family called, he would pull over into a truck stop or somewhere, and he would take that family's call, and he took and call the funeral homes. On average, it takes 12 phone calls to get a person, to get all of the business taken care of and get a person home. He did all of that from the cab of a truck, from the driver's seat.
That's crazy.
That's and you know, I tell people all the time, Beer, the greatest truck driver that ever lived, who would it be? What did they do? What kind of an outstanding feat did they do to deserve being? I'm sure there's thousands of stories of interesting things of people who say, I've seen people who saved people's lives from burning cars, all kinds of different acts of heroic acts. But I still say, bring me someone who's done more than Robert Palm. He has brought home 687 souls, truck drivers, back to their families. I don't think you're going to find anybody that is. Oh, it's Bocephus Trucking on YouTube.
Bocephus Trucking on YouTube. We're back in Little Rock. We'll drop off pockets here because I know he's got to go and have his little nappy.
Hey, congratulations on your 100.
Thank you, sir.
100th video, man. That's pretty cool, and I enjoy watching them myself because you do a really good job at this. You know what I mean? And I don't watch a lot of this stuff. I used to tell people I don't really have time to sit around and watch someone else do it because I do it myself. So yeah, if I've got that kind of time, I'm usually doing something myself. But I do have little breaks in time during the day and stuff like that, and I do always try to get over there and watch a lot of your stuff. You do a really good job, so congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Your 100th video.
And
that's a good accomplishment to have right there.
Yeah, and I tell you what, guys, I've never met this man in my life. One day I'll hop on a plane and head on down to Little Rock, and you know.
Hell, I may come to Canada. They need to hear me in Canada. A lot of people in Canada need to meet me.
Yeah. Well, you know, Canada's always open to have somebody from Arkansas up here, so yeah.
How far you live from Niagara Falls? Because we could always. Josh doesn't live far from there. We could have a little gathering up there.
Yeah. I'm not. I'm more closer to Rochester than I am closer to Niagara Falls.
Well, we'll just throw down and go eat some buffalo wings in Buffalo. Oh, interesting fact. The song, you'll like this fact. The song Ladies Night in Buffalo by Van Halen.
Yes, sir.
Do you know why? Do you know what the importance of that title of that song is?
No.
Buffalo, New York, per square inch has more bars than any other place in the United States. So that's why the name of the song, Ladies Night in Buffalo.
Oh, okay. You know, like the come thing of, I've actually heard that.
You can bring that up at a party and people are like, man, you know that guy, he knows some pretty interesting facts. I'll leave you with that one right there. You'll be able to use that sometime. Hey, man, I appreciate the ride.
Oh, hey, anytime. And I'll tell you one thing. Like, I will go to war with this guy to, you know, like I'll take his back on anything in life. So, yeah.
It's been that way for almost 22 years, so I don't see it changing.
Yeah. Well, there was a gap there where, you know, we lost touch, whatever, because I was raised in the family and whatever, and I had to take a little back seat, but we're back at her now, and man, you know, it's just like none of that ever even happened. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like that was just a little moment in time. Yeah.
And I've really enjoyed getting back into the racing, especially on iRacing with you and
And
going in there
Joba.
and competing and stuff. And Joba, yeah, Joba, me and you and Joba, man, we do it
The
as
Three
much as we can.
Musketeers.
We sure do. It's brought me a lot. I get a
Oh,
lot of enjoyment out of it.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, just a few hours a night, you know, it's it's, it's fun.
Yeah,
It's my time. It's my play time. So
yeah. Shout out to our teammate SS Joba
yeah,
up there in Connecticut,
he's
redneck.
he's trying so hard to get his 3,000 I rating there. He's fluttering around with it, but he just can't get there.
And that's tough.
You'll
It's
get
tough
there.
over there.
It is.
Sure is.
He's running with the big dogs.
Oh, and I want to tell y'all another thing too. I actually, when Beer was talking about doing this, I told him that it had to be in a W9, that I wouldn't ride in a Peterbilt.
Yes. Well, I always run a Peterbilt 359 is one of my favorite trucks in this game. However, but heck, I'm really starting to dig this W9 here with the flat top. So
I've always said, when the argument or when the discussion comes up between Peterbilt and Kenworth, I'm famous for saying, Will and Sonny didn't roll around in no Peterbilt.
no.
BJ McKay and that monkey, no, they didn't. They weren't in a Peterbilt. The snowman did not drive a Peterbilt. So that's, you know what I mean? It's just, and I'll tell you, when I was a kid, I think I was 10, 11, 12 years old or something like that. My dad took me to the Kenworth dealership in Little Rock, Arkansas on 65th Street. And Claude Akins was there.
Oh.
The truck was there. I got to get up in the truck. I got to shake Claude Akins' hand. And I have an autographed picture of Claude Akins somewhere. It was a picture of the truck that Claude Akins had signed. It's got to be in my mother's house somewhere in the archives. And people say, why do you like Kenworth trucks? Well, I've always liked trucks ever since I was a little bitty kid.
Yep.
But the show Moving On, just it ruined me for the rest of my life.
Oh, man, I don't know how many times I sat in that back seat of the car on the highway, doing the old fist, the old
arm pump,
the old arm pump there, and
yep.
Yeah, and if you got a horn from somebody, man, you had a smile from grin to grin.
I'll tell you right now, Beer, I still do that. If I see it, I did it the other day to a dump truck. He was coming towards me, and I stuck my arm out the window, and he hit it right as he went past me. He seen me, he hit it right as he went past me. And I'll do it out on the interstate, and if a truck driver does not, I don't care if he has to give me the bitch horn, the day horn.
Right.
If he does not honk his horn, I'm gonna let him know with a nice one finger salute.
Yeah.
And that he's a steering wheel holder. He's not a trucker, because a truck driver honks that horn.
Well, PP, it's time to wrap her up here. It's daylight savings time. I'm losing an hour's sleep.
Woo! I know it.
But anyways, thanks a lot, everybody, for joining me here on Both Safest Trucking in the 100th video of the channel. And thanks a lot to Leeroy Mercer for joining me here in Little Rock. And we'll catch up with them again sometime on the road here in the near future.
All right, Bear. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And we'll catch you all later and see you on the next one.